Tanghulu. Tanghulu is Chinese street food of fresh fruit skewered on bamboo sticks and coated in a hard sugar shell. It originated in northern China over 900 years ago during the Song dynasty. The original fruit was hawthorn berry. Modern versions use strawberries, grapes, and mandarin oranges. The sugar shell cracks when bitten, producing a sound and texture that TikTok found irresistible in 2023. Videos of Tanghulu being made and eaten generated billions of views globally. A 900-year-old Chinese street snack became the most viral food on the internet because the cracking sound is impossible to scroll past. Chicharron. Chicharron is fried pork skin, and it has been eaten across Latin America, the Caribbean, and the American South for centuries. The skin is boiled, dried, and then submerged in hot fat until it puffs into a crispy, airy shell. The process transforms what would otherwise be discarded into something with more crunch per gram than any chip a factory has ever produced. Mexico, Colombia, and the Philippines all claim versions as their own. In the United States, pork rinds, the American version, generate over $400 million in annual sales. The keto diet movement of the 2010s made chicharron the most unlikely health food trend in modern history. Crème brûlée. Crème brûlée is custard with a caramelized sugar crust shattered by a spoon. France, England, and Spain all claim to have invented it. The earliest documented recipe appeared in a French cookbook in 1691. England calls their version Cambridge burnt cream and insists it predates the French. The sugar crust is created by sprinkling sugar over set custard and applying direct flame until it caramelizes into a hard amber shell. The crack of the spoon breaking through that shell is one of the most satisfying sounds in restaurant dining. Crème brûlée became the most ordered dessert in American fine dining in the 1980s and never left. Crispy rice. Crispy rice is exactly what happens when sushi culture meets American maximalism. A compressed block of seasoned sushi rice is pan-fried until the bottom layer develops a golden crust, while the interior stays soft and sticky. Spicy tuna or salmon is placed on top. The format was invented at Nobu, the global Japanese restaurant chain, and spread through celebrity culture when influencers began filming it at upscale restaurants in Los Angeles and Miami. By 2022, it was the most replicated high-end appetizer on TikTok. A Nobu menu item became a home cooking trend because it photographs from every angle without a single bad shot. Hash browns. Hash browns were invented in the northeastern United States in the late 1800s as a way to use leftover boiled potatoes. The name comes from the French word hacher, meaning to chop. McDonald's introduced its hash brown patty in 1977, and it became one of the most recognized fast food items in the world. In Britain, a similar dish called bubble and squeak uses leftover cabbage and potato fried together. Switzerland has rosti, South Korea has gochujang. Every culture that discovered the potato eventually figured out that frying leftover potato pieces was one of the best ideas available. American streaky bacon. This is the one, the strip of bacon that defined what breakfast looks like in the English-speaking world. Cut from pork belly, thin enough to curl at the edges, fatty enough to render into its own cooking oil in the pan. The Maillard reaction hits every surface simultaneously. The result is a crunch that no other cut can replicate. American streaky bacon appears in more recipes, more sandwiches, and more breakfast orders than any other bacon on this list. Every other bacon style on Earth is compared to this one first. The standard exists because nobody has beaten it. Blooming onion. The blooming onion was invented by Outback Steakhouse in 1988 and has never left the menu because it cannot leave the menu. Removing it would cause a customer revolt. A single whole onion is cut into over 100 petals without separating the base, battered and deep fried until it opens like a flower. One blooming onion contains over 1,900 calories before the dipping sauce. The dipping sauce adds another 200. Outback sells approximately 40 million blooming onions per year. Food critics have called it excessive, nutritionally irresponsible, and completely impossible to stop eating once started. All three descriptions are accurate simultaneously. Potato chips. Potato chips were invented in 1853 in Saratoga Springs, New York, by a chef named George Crème. A customer repeatedly sent his fried potatoes back to the kitchen, complaining they were too thick and soggy. Crème, frustrated, sliced the potatoes paper thin, fried them until crispy, and salted them heavily as a sarcastic response. The customer loved them. The dish spread across the country and became one of the most consumed snack foods in human history. Americans eat over 1.5 billion pounds of potato chips per year. A chef's act of frustration created a global industry worth over $30 billion.
Pork belly burnt ends. Burnt ends were originally the scraps. When pitmasters in Kansas City finished smoking a brisket, the pointed end was darker, crispier, and considered less presentable than the flat. They gave them away free at the counter or sold them cheap. Food writer Calvin Trillin wrote about them in 1972 and called them the best part of the brisket. Demand reversed overnight. Pitmasters started charging more for burnt ends than for regular brisket slices. Pork belly burnt ends appeared later as a variation, cubing pork belly and smoking it until the exterior caramelizes into candy-like pieces. The scraps became the premium item.
Waffle fries. Waffle fries were invented by Chick-fil-A in the 1980s as a way to differentiate their side dish from every other fast food chain selling standard French fries. The grid pattern is created by rotating the potato 90 degrees between each slice on a specialized mandolin cutter. The increased surface area creates more crispy edges per fry than any other cut. Chick-fil-A's waffle fries became so associated with the chain that when competitors tried releasing their own versions, customers consistently described them as Chick-fil-A fries regardless of where they were purchased. A cutting technique became a brand identity. Porchetta. Porchetta is a whole deboned pig stuffed with herbs, garlic, and fennel, rolled tightly and slow roasted until the exterior skin becomes a crackling shell surrounding layers of herb-perfumed meat and fat. It originated in central Italy and has been sold from roadside trucks at Italian markets and festivals for centuries. Italian immigrants brought porchetta to the United States, where it became popular at Italian-American festivals and eventually crossed into mainstream restaurant culture in the 2000s. The porchetta sandwich, thick slices of herb-stuffed pork on crusty bread with the crackling skin intact, is now one of the most sought-after street food items at American food markets. Hot honey fried chicken. Scientists who study flavor addiction call the combination of sweet, salty, and spicy hitting simultaneously the bliss point. Hot honey hits all three at once. A Brooklyn beekeeper started drizzling chili honey on pizza in 2010 as a hobby. By 2025, it was the most requested flavor at fast food chains across America. Your brain registers sweet first, then the heat arrives. By then, it's too late to stop eating.
Lechon. Lechon is a whole roasted pig cooked over an open fire for hours until the skin becomes shatteringly crispy and the meat inside falls from the bone. It is the national dish of the Philippines and a centerpiece of celebrations across Latin America and the Caribbean. In Puerto Rico, lechon is so important that the town of Guavate has an entire highway known as the Lechon Highway, lined with restaurants serving nothing but whole roasted pig. Filipino communities in the United States recreate lechon at every major celebration. The logistics of roasting a whole pig over an open fire in a suburban American backyard have never discouraged anyone from attempting it.